Three tips, three guidelines, three possibilities for the new Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master is an interesting place to be. You're there to run the game, to resolve the rules, to make sure the players are having as best a time as possible, making sure every player is heard and contributing, and at the same time, doing your best not to forget that you're a player also. You're on the opposite side of the Dungeon Master screen, but you're there to have fun also. And all of these things, by the way, are happening at the same time. Whereas a player, if I go in front of the Dungeon Master screen, as a player, I'm responsible for the rules and knowing what my character can and cannot do, but I'm there to role play and play my character. I'm going to work with the rest of the party, but they're handling their characters. And the Dungeon Master's handling everything else. So it can be a little bit intimidating, and it could feel like, hey, where do we start as a DM? And that's what I wanted to jump in with this vlog. Understanding that as a DM, it is an evolving art, and there's a toolkit. You're going to learn various skills along the way, and when needed, you're going to utilize these skills to create something on the table, to create that moment. And what we're looking to do ultimately, and this is true for every Dungeon Master, your unique personality, the type of dungeons that you like to run, that enthusiasm, that creativity, we want to pull that out on the table. If you can create that in every adventure, if you can create that every time that you play, that is going to make you an amazing DM. So these toolkits are ways to refine and help bring that possibility forward. So the first rule, and perhaps the most important rule, as a Dungeon Master, you cannot make a mistake. What we have seen in every edition of Dungeons and Dragons, every edition, the rules are the mythology. The rules are the language that we use to communicate. Yes, absolutely, to play this wonderful game. But they're entirely optional. They're entirely optional. You get to decide the flow of the rules. You get to decide how the game evolves. What I mean by that is you're using the rules, but when you come to a point where you might not be sure what to do, or your player asks you a question, I'd like to do this, which skill check is it? Or often we see this with grappling and other nuances of combat and encounters, where it could be this, but it could also be that. What do you do? What you do in the moment is make a decision and go with it. I often make a decision as a DM. What would be in the player's favor and what would be the most interesting aspect of the game? That's usually the formula that I utilize. And here's an example from a recent game that we played where I was playing with an excellent DM, one of my favorite DMs that I get to play with as a player. And I was playing a Gnoll Barbarian, Fang Snarl. His backstory really quick was he's part of a Gnoll clan, lawful evil, raids a caravan, wizard casts a spell on him, changes his alignment to lawful good, and now he's kind of venturing out trying to not only redeem himself, but answer the question, what is good? So no spoilers, because I'm talking about a point from a very, very popular, currently popular adventure. So I'm not going to name the adventure, and I'm just going to focus on one point of the adventure. We were inside this cave that had an outlet to the ocean outside. And there were 3 treasure chests sunken underwater, about 10 or 15 feet out, maybe 5 or 6 feet down. Next to these treasure chests, up on the shore or the rocky part of the cave, was a large metal door. So, of course, we make some checks, perception checks, survival check, this check. We don't really see anything, but we know something's going on. Obviously, the chests are trapped. But look, you can't put 3 large chests with a party looking for gold. And things have been a little bit light in treasure-wise in the adventure so far. So we grabbed the chests, and because we failed our perception checks, we didn't notice the sharks, giant sharks swimming about. So we escape from the sharks. They try to bite us. They miss. We grab the chests. We're out. Well, I like to role-play my character. He's never seen a shark before. I mean, he's never seen the ocean before. He's angry at this shark trying to bite him. So I want to grapple with the shark. The DM is like, okay, so we grapple. I pull the shark out. He's like, you got the shark. What do you want to do? I'm like, I want to headbutt this shark. Headbutt him. Boom. Back into the water. So I could have taken some damage. Party's like, okay, Fang Snarl's being Fang Snarl, but this shark, whatever we're calling it, tried to bite me. I can't have that. So now the door's opening. The metal door is starting to open. And we realize it's slowly opening. It's very heavy. We've got a few moments to figure out what's going to happen. And of course, being the barbarian, being the tank of the party, I'm going to be in the front. I'm going to do what I have to do, right? So I just, in a moment of role play and of opportunity, I'm trying to think, like, when's the last time there was like a shark in D&D? I've got to do this. I've got to make this happen. So I say to the DM, as we have our pre-actions, I want to grab one of those sharks. I want to pull it out. So I'll have to make a grapple check. I'll have to check on some things. And then I want to have the shark under my arm, ready to go. And when that door opens, I'm going to charge in, swinging this shark at whatever comes out. So I could just see the DM there trying to calculate, how the heck do we even do this? Because the shark is going to be trying to grapple. So it's like a pre-grapple check. And then we'll have to check, is it the mouth side or the fin side? And it's swinging. Does the shark then grapple with whatever the target is? He resolved it out. He realized, hey, this is a moment to kind of do something a little crazy, a little unique. I'll work in Fritz's favor if he wants to do it. And he made some decisions. So I say within that framework, when the players present you something crazy like using a shark as an improvised weapon that they want to swing around, okay, right? Figure it out, make a call, and see what happens. You can't make a mistake. You can't mess something up, right? Likewise, if you're running an encounter and it's a pivotal encounter and there's a power that a monster has that you just forget to use, or you make a couple of rolls and you leave out a modifier because there was a spell effect, okay, no problem. Just pick it up, keep going, keep the game going. As a dungeon master, you cannot make a mistake. The second thing that I find that helps out is before the game, reviewing your module a little bit. I won't say memorize it, but look at the module and see if there's any points where maybe there's an encounter where a monster has some special abilities that might interact with the party and you might need to look them up. So maybe mark those virtually or physically in the books. Look at various flows if there's places where the players could go one way or another way. Again, not memorizing the adventure, but being a little bit familiar with it. So while you're calculating and answering the players' questions, you kind of have an idea of the script and where they're going. Likewise, if you do have to look something up, it makes things a little bit easier because you kind of already have an idea if something is going to resolve itself. The last part is to really look at adventures that you want to run. Now, as players, we're creating a story. As a dungeon master, we're creating a story. And I want my players to have a great time at the table. I want to try and bring that. I want to try and create that with them. But we all have our own player personality, and we all have the type of adventures, for the most part, that we like to run. I love classic dungeon crawls. That's what I focus on. And at some point, if you've played at my table, you know there's going to be a dragon involved. We're going to fight a dragon. If you go from character level 1 to 10 with me, there's going to be at least 2 or 3 dragon encounters along the way. I love role-playing dragons and having them involved in the story. So what that usually means is 7 or 8 out of 10 adventures are dungeon crawlers. I will run maybe a city political adventure. I will run the kind of classic you're stranded on a lost island type adventure from time to time. But these are the adventures that I like. Run the adventures you want to run because you will invest your passion, your energy into that, your unique player personality, and that's going to bring it out on the table. As opposed to, well, these are the adventures that I think my players would like. Or if you're part of a gaming group and other D&D groups, well, these are the adventures everyone else is running. Maybe I'll run that adventure. Maybe. Be open to trying new things. But be open to knowing what you like as a DM, as a player, and bringing that uniqueness to the table. Those are just 3 out of 10 starting toolkit pieces. And again, the idea is to assemble your D&D DM toolkit so as these things arise, you can navigate them to bring out the player personality, to bring out your strengths as a dungeon master, bringing that to the table.